boom, boom, boom. Hey, it's this cutscene. The cutscene. I actually was wondering if this cutscene in Phantasy Star Online, this is version 1 of Phantasy Star Online, I was wondering if it actually was changed between at least version 2 or the 1 and 2 compilation. I haven't sat down and looked at them side by side, but I was like, oh, I remember this cutscene looking a lot better. And I don't think that's actually true. I think I was mixing it up with the CG sections in the episode 2 opening, which look a little better. You don't get as much of it, but I like the episode 2 opening a lot better because there's like actual gameplay and stuff. I actually could turn my AC up a little bit, and then yeah, let's get it going. Hey! Good thing I checked the audio, because I'm muted. Let me just make sure you can hear me. I totally wasn't talking that whole time. Sorry, while I wait to see if I catch up. As soon as I start moving, that means... Yep, there I am. Alright. Hey, welcome to the Fantasy Zone. Get ready. Okay, I'm gonna chat up. Phantasy Star Online. Oh man, I guess I have to roll back to the start. So, hey, video games. So, this is Phantasy Star Online version 1 on Dreamcast. And you're like, oh man, why does version 1 matter? And it doesn't. It is, as far as I know, there's nothing to be gained by playing version 1. You only lose things. But the main reason I bought it, and pretty much the only reason I bought this version of the game, is to make sure I could do this. Like, oh, yep, I can. $20 well spent. And I just needed to confirm that I was indeed in this game. It's really hard to find specifically version 1 footage online because people don't typically label the version. Hey, I leveled up. People typically don't label the version of the game that they're streaming. Sometimes you'll see version 2, and you can tell sometimes because, like, oh, characters will be over level 100, which, if you know anything about version 1 of Phantasy Star Online, it only went to level 100. There might be some more telltale signs, but it's a bit hard without just like sitting there and watching the footage and seeing what they do and being able to spot the difference between a 1.0 and a 2.0 release. That being said, I already own 2 copies of Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, one for GameCube and one for Xbox. I've debated getting a third one for GameCube, Episode 1 and 2 Plus. It is a bad idea, but I think I found means of getting one fairly cheap, actually. But we'll see. I have a theory. I have a theory about Phantasy Star Online's 1 and 2 Plus and what I can do to get one. It's a secret. It's my secret only. It's a quote. That's a quote by me. My secret only, I guess. I don't know why I said it. It's a quote. But yeah, I'm just, I was writing an article about Phantasy Star Online and the shortcut menu in Phantasy Star Online, which this game does not have. I originally thought it was in this game, and then I looked online and, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get murdered, and found out, hey, it actually doesn't have the shortcut menu. I think these things are actually, are they worth killing? I don't remember. I don't need to use TP on them though, I shouldn't have been. Too late though. So I bought a copy of this game just to test that technique menu thing. That's literally the only reason I bought this game, probably. And just to fulfill my sick need of needing a copy of Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast. Because I'm a dummy. I never played the Dreamcast version of Phantasy Star Online. I've only played the GameCube and Xbox releases, and the PC releases too. It's interesting, I don't remember there being ever like this weird white reflection down here. I wonder if that's in the later games. That's curious. Huh. I don't know if that's because of this lighting effect here, or if that just is like a shine effect on that thing. I'm sure we'll fight plenty more. It is forest after all. And then once we get into forest too, it's dark and we'll be able to have different lighting situations. Oh yeah, that's right. So in this version of the game, you can't use your shortcut menu. You gotta literally just open your menu and use your stuff. Okay, do that. Whoops. Whoops. Doing a great job. But yeah, I just started a character on this version, and I'm sure I won't play it that long. We'll see. I tend... My goal with Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 on the Xbox was trying to beat that game, and I beat episode 1, but I never beat episode 2. Dark Falls one-shots me, so I need to grind, which grinding an old Xbox version of Phantasy Star Online, it seems like a silly thing to do. But someday I'll probably do it, maybe. Maybe I'm lying, who knows. But the GameCube version is the only version of the game I've ever taken seriously, to some extent. I leveled up to probably like, have a couple level 100 characters, I think. I think a early 100 Humar and like a mid 150 Fomar. Fomar is my favorite class in this game too, which unfortunately is not in this version. I think Fomars are actually technically like in the version 2 data, or there's like references to them, and like there's other characters like I think the raw marls aren't in this game, as well as the what was the last one? Some Hugh type, Hugh Castles. They're not in this game either, and I think they started trying to add them to version 2, but then they decided to keep version 1 and 2 compatible, so they ended up not implementing them. I'm not really sure what their plan was at that point. Like, I would assume maybe they were planning to do an episode like a full-fledged episode 2 on Dreamcast. And then that's when they would have introduced them, and then they never ended up doing it. But yeah, this one has that weird lighting effect too, but it also has this here. But that effect doesn't seem to be applying to my character, so I think it's literally just these guys have like a weird shiny texture on them. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty certain that's not in the GameCube or Xbox version. I have no idea for Blue Burst. I have not played enough Blue Burst. I need to play episode 4 of it eventually, but just like I said, grinding up a character in PSO is kind of dull. PSO is not the most exciting game anymore, at least to me. It's funny because I think probably the #1 reason I've tried to write about PSO is like a constant chasing of trying to figure out what's still good about PSO. When I think most people would say, oh, like I saw someone literally the other day say PSO is one of the greatest games ever made, and I'm like, in the context of its time, yeah. But like if you come back and play this, it's pretty simple. Like I spent so much time in this game, and I definitely have like a level of nostalgia for it. Maybe not to the extent like a Final Fantasy 11, but I mean, this was one of my earliest online games outside of like Diablo and StarCraft and stuff. So maybe that's why the impact wasn't as great to me, because I was already playing some PC stuff online. I also played a lot of Quake at the time. And so by the time PSO came out on GameCube, which I think was like 2002 or 2003, you know, I had played probably a good 5 years of like online games under my belt. But obviously, something like Phantasy Star Online, outside of maybe Diablo, has more of a community. And then Final Fantasy 11 was obviously incredibly different, just because it's like a full-fledged MMO. I used to call this game an MMO. It's not really an MMO. It's kind of, you know, 4 people. that's about all you get, and like 30 people in a lobby. And it's like me, and like at the time, I definitely see why people would call it an MMO. But let's see what we got here. Got any slots? Okay, I think this is literally the only one I equipped. Okay. Ouchie. Well, I probably shouldn't have been managing equipment while fighting something, but especially early on, I think Fomars particularly are very useful, just because they have the melee attack. I mean, obviously they die really easily, so you know you want to not be getting hit, and in a game like this, you don't really have a lot of options for evading. Your best option really is probably open the start menu to run. But at the same time, it's oh gosh. Otherwise, it ends up being like this early on with Force, casting Foy and smacking things with a cane. And I think literally every class starts with the same technique. I think it's just Foy. It is kind of interesting, and I don't think this game had anything like it. In Phantasy Star Zero, for the Nintendo DS, so it's kind of like a throwback to Phantasy Star Online, which the more I write about Phantasy Star Online, the more I kind of figure out that these games are actually pretty different. Oh, I shouldn't have used the Monome. I'm right about the level, but hey, you know, too late. Let's go crazy. Whoops. Phantasy Star Zero actually has like race-based technique strength. So I think in this game, there is like a magic stat, and like depending on who you are, Nuums typically have the higher magic stat. Out of like faux Mars and faux Marls, that's just what they have. And the faux Marls get the benefit of having defense, and then faux Mars have the benefit of having the benefit of having, thank you, attack. And then, so I'm actually not quite sure what the difference is between like a faux Nuum and a faux Newell. I'm sure there are stat differences. I'd have to actually look at the menu. I don't know if the GameCube version, but it does. But the Dreamcast version has like little graphs you look at and stuff when you make a character. And I can't remember if that was the case in the GameCube days. Oh, come on. Let me level up. And then, so yeah, so in Phantasy Star Zero, if you were a faux Mar or faux Marl, I believe is where this is going. I'm trying to remember exactly. Faux Mars, I know definitely. They excelled at Foy, Zonde, and Barta, which are the three like fire, ice, and Zonde or lightning spells. And then the Nuums, the faux Nuum, faux Nuum specifically. I'm gonna guess that they probably align with the female versions as well. But faux Nuum specifically exceeded at Megid and Grant's base spells. Which, oh boy, try not to die. If I recall correctly, in the Dreamcast version of this game, death is like surprisingly punishing for online. Like I think you drop your weapon and you drop all your money. Oh boy. So yeah, so depending on who you played, you kind of drifted off onto different elemental spells that you're focusing on. I was trying to like curve around them, but that didn't work out very well. There we go. Okay. So that was kind of neat, and I never got around to playing. I forget if I made a faux Nuum or a faux Marl, or a faux Nuum or a faux Newell in Phantasy Star Zero. I bought a Japanese copy of the game because it was a lot cheaper than the American copies at the time. Because I already had an American copy, but I wanted more save slots because I only had 3 and I didn't want to delete my characters. And I had a faux Mar, Hugh Nuum, and a raw castle that I deleted for a raw Marl because I like Resta too much. I like healing. I think every RPG, I will always take a character that can heal themselves. I just like having that ability. And I think a lot of my taste in how I play these kind of games, action RPGs in general, actually kind of bled out of. Yeah, no lighting effect there, so maybe it is just those weird bug sack things. But I think my tastes for like the types of characters I play in these kind of games extended quite a bit out of the faux Mar play style. Just being able to do melee attacks, magic attacks, and be able to heal. I think it's just a loop here. But hey, boxes! That's always the best thing to do when you're streaming. Go pick up every single thing you can. It's definitely entertaining for people to watch you do that. I forget, does anything spawn as you come back through here, or is it just a path back to the beginning? I think it's just path back to the beginning. Okay. It's a little weird in the Dreamcast version because you don't have the C stick to move the menu around, so you have to kind of put both hands on the left side of the controller while you're running around. But yeah, I think the big reason I played Paladin in Final Fantasy XI is because I was like, oh, they have melee attacks and heals. And then only after I started playing Paladin realized, oh, I need to tank. And I actually was pretty anti-tank for a long time in Final Fantasy XI, and like really wanted to live the idea of playing a Paladin / Dark Knight for the ultimate like swordsman magic kind of thing, which, if you know anything about Final Fantasy XI, is completely not something you should ever do. I got a lot of grief about that idea, and it's not like you can play solo. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna play this game how I want to play it, because people expect you to play your role specific ways. Let's see, do I have any new things? Just the normal butt game, okay. Any better frames? Ooh, less defense but 2 slots. Okay. Which I guess it'd be better to keep equipping this for now, but I need to make sure I hold on to that 2-slot one. You know, and I kind of joke about this in my stream title a little bit. You know, one thing that inevitably happens with all my friends is they all play Forest 1. And I do this too. I play Forest 1, and then maybe Forest 2, and then maybe Kill the Dragon, and then you don't play any more PSO after that. And I'm kind of curious, like, what makes Forest 1 distinct in a lot of ways, because, like, I think a lot of it has to do with Forest 1 is, in the original Episode 1, the only area that feels like tailor-made. So, like, no matter what you do when you come to Forest 1, it's always the same layout. The only change is, like, what gates are locked and where they start you and where teleporters are and, like, the enemy lineup and stuff. I really wish I had Zonde. I probably should go buy some spells once I get back to town. And Forest 1's the only area in the whole game that is, like, at least feels structured. Maybe Caves 1, or Caves, Mines, and Ruins, maybe some of those are static, but they're all just kind of box rooms for the most part. And Forest is, like, the only one that really feels like a unique area. Like, every single room in Forest is distinct, and if you have any memory of this game, you know where you are in this environment. Where in Caves, there's some distinct rooms throughout the dungeon, but none of them really ever... I think this guy is, like, super resistant to fire, so I'm kind of hesitant to even bother with that. Let's put a teleport. Let's go buy some magic. And go heal, too. Oh, that's very red. Yeah, and I just think that Forest, like, every room in Forest, at least you can tell where you are. Where in Caves, Mines, and Ruins, you're basically just in a series of boxes with a couple of distinct rooms between them. And I think that's what makes Forest kind of so appealing. And, you know, it's just also just not a lot of hassle. Caves has, you know, paralysis, poison. Mines has some weird hit back on enemies, like, they kind of slide around the room, and when you hit them, they might, like, fly away or fall back. And there's some, like, enemies that can't die unless you, like, blow up a central core, and there's a ton of mines. And then Ruins is just kind of pretty, like, it's just kind of hard in general. I would say mainly because some of the enemy types, like the Del Sabers, are very resistant to being hit. And then you have, like, the big Charger Knight guy, and Forest is just relatively lax. Pretty much everything you can kind of deal with. Like, even the big, like, I forget what they're called, the Hildebear things or whatever. You can get away from them fairly easy. Okay, this is just normal, so let's get rid of that. This is just normal. These are both just normal. And this is just normal. Ah, slots. That's normal. Okay. And let's buy some magic. Hey, heals. That's cool. Oh, shoot. I'm poor. I needed Barda. Dang it. Well, that's what I get for not paying attention to my money. Alright. Well. Honestly, at this point, heals might not be worth the MP just because I don't have a lot of money to buy fluids. Why did I do that? I have no way to make that money back up without at least, like, selling everything. Oh well. Oh, you know what? I need to equip my battle palette. Let's put it there, but we'll keep monomates here. And I think I want to deposit my money in this version of the game. I think in all versions of PSO you drop your money. Is that true? Did you drop your money in GameCube? I think you did. I can't remember. I know this is the only version where you drop your weapon though. Hell yeah. I wonder if that exists in any other version of the game. I don't think I've ever seen that before where you have to, where it reloads the bridge animation. Alright, you. Let's see what makes you hurt more. 21, that's probably gonna make you hurt most. Yeah. Well, about the same. Oh well, here's the next question. How much does this cost? Okay, same cost. Alright. But kind of getting back on the track of thought of like the areas being distinct. Episode 2 actually does have some distinct areas as well. Actually, quite a few, depending on how you feel about it. Like, it's the same 4 area structure. Like, there's the forest, or not forest, the temple, the space station, and then the seabed, which is kind of like this game's, or the episode 1's ruins. And then you have Central Control Tower, which is like a bunch of areas in one. But all the areas in Central Control Tower, as far as I can tell, are like really, are the same way Forest. They're preset, and then how you move about them depends on how they gate the area off, essentially. Okay. And it really feels like Central Control Tower is just like where they put all their money, for episode 2. It's interesting. There's also, like, in the GameCube version, a completely like separate side quest where you go up the tower itself, which is its own unique area that's online only, as far as I can tell. Maybe in PSO 1 and 2 Plus, there's an offline section for that dungeon. I'm not sure. But I think the problem with episode 2 is just like everything's so. It's not like it's not like episode 1 where you have Forest, which is kind of like. Whoops. You kind of, I guess, like each area in episode 1, I feel like you have like a annoyance kind of thing rather than like a ton of annoyances. Where in there we go. Do your swipe. Thank you. In episode 2, they kind of mix a bunch of stuff up because they're reusing a lot of like enemy types and stuff, and I think because there's so much stuff mixed together, there's just more potential for there we go, more potential to just have like a frustrating encounter. You know, in some ways that becomes less of a problem later on, and in some ways it becomes more of a problem because you're able to deal with paralysis and poison a lot easier when you're a higher level and have more resources, and you just buy as many like paralysis things and antidotes that you want, and you have spells to deal with them, and you have a nice variety of equipment, so you can kind of like deal with different types of enemies in different ways. Is this a bad idea? This is a bad idea. Oh, that's right. I don't have a quick menu. This is pretty awkward trying to run and use that menu, though. And now I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. But that's okay. Oh, and then like in ultimate mode, you end up in like the caves with the flowers, and they all cast like Megid, which if you don't know, Megid's like instant death. So it's just like the entire dungeon is just you dying all the time, which I think I don't know if it's still true for Blue Burst, but like I remember when that game first came out, I think they had EXP penalties in place when you died, which I don't think was a thing in any of these earlier versions. And like the idea of going into caves and just like getting meated to death just seems like the most frustrating experience I could imagine. Just tons of instant death enemies. I'd say EXP loss is something that I don't particularly miss from older games, though. It's I don't know why they decided to add it in. Maybe just to give more of a feeling of oh boy, more of a feeling of I guess more value to your life in these kind of games. Sometimes you do need that, like a reason to keep your character alive. That was a problem I had with Hello Neighbor, where it was just like, at some point, the neighbor never really, like, did anything bad, so you just kind of let yourself get caught whenever it was convenient. And he would put up more traps and stuff, but, like, most of the time you could just either break them or use them to your own advantage, honestly. Oh boy, alright. Nice thing about that would have been nice about Barda is I could hit multiple of these guys at once too, but I need another 500 mess stuff for that to work. Oops, sorry. I should probably heal as well. Okay, let's just go and do it. I'm gonna take a strong guess we can't kill the dragon. If I remember in PSO GameCube, unless you're like level 8 or so, trying to kill the dragon was not a fun experience. But hey, you know, maybe it'll work out. Shoot. How are we doing EXP wise? Yeah, not really any. Give me that cane. I originally played PSO only offline, but I did the sure, that'll be nice. Sure. What's it called? But only offline on GameCube, so it was 4 players at the very least. We actually spent a lot of time in the first area trying to to get all 4 of us leveled up enough that we could actually kill the dragon. And I think how it ended up was my uncle Mark was running in circles around the dragon with a handgun for a good like 10-15 minutes as we all sat there and just kind of watched him. I think lightning is best on him, but I might cast, well, Barda is, but I don't have it. I'll try casting fire and see what happens. Yeah, lightning is. I don't know if at this point in the game I can shock them or not. But compared to something like the like this guy, compared to something like the horseman guy in Ruins, like you can pretty easily kite this guy around, especially as a force and like a ranger. As a hunter, it's a bit more difficult, obviously. Thank you for your cane. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You have to press the little pillars to unlock the ruins. If you don't do it, then you get to this like unique room to PSO offline, episode 1 offline, where it's just like this weird tunnel. I don't know if it uses. Oh, can I even press it at this point? Or can you press it at all in this version of the game? I would think you'd be able to. I wonder if you can't press it on your first time around, they make you come back to press it. Because you usually would be able to just click on it. Yeah. Anyways, but there's this like hall, and I think it either has ruins texture or maybe it has its own unique textures. And do I want to go up here yet? I kind of want to grind and get enough money for Barta if I can before I go to the dragon. So I might just do a complete round of Forest 2. How are we doing EXP wise? Yeah, I'm gonna need EXP. But yeah, that's probably how I spent the first like I'd say like 5 hours of this game was playing offline with family and and not understanding that you have to like save the game before you quit it. I was so used to games auto-saving, and I had this problem on PlayStation occasionally where as a kid I was used to playing, you know, cartridge games, specifically Nintendo games. And I'd say the Nintendo 64 generation in particular, and that's kind of like, I played Super Nintendo and NES, but Nintendo 64 is probably the earliest that I really like started diving into games. Like, I know full time's a weird word to say for that, but I guess full time. I guess I owned my own console at that point. I had a Game Boy and Nintendo 64, and that was kind of, I didn't have to play other people's consoles. Like the concept of the game not auto-saving just didn't like occur to me, which is a weird thing to think of, because I think one of the hardest things about going to some older games is the game not auto-saving. I have a big problem with like Gunvolt because the game never auto-saves, and I always just like turn my 3DS off at some point, and I'm like, I gotta play through those levels again. Alright. Which I actually had I didn't have that problem with Mighty Number 9 recently, but I was playing Mighty Number 9, and I just closed the game out, and I was like, oh no, did it save? Because I know, just because, you know, Any Crates made Gunvolt, I think my brain was just like, oh no, it's Any Crates game. That means they're not going to auto-save. They're going to lose everything. Oh, handgun +1. At this point in the game, I'll take anything. Did I ever equip that cane? Yeah, I did. Okay. So yeah, so basically this game, you can quit out, and not only does it not save your progress, and I think this is also true for offline, but maybe it was only true for online. I'm trying to recall, but if you started a game, it would save to note like, hey, this person started a video game or started playing this game with this character, and then if you didn't have that like end session save, you would lose everything in your inventory to kind of prevent like the chance that you like duplicate items and stuff, I would assume. Because they're like, oh well, if you just, you know, went online and dropped all your rares on the ground, then, you know, turn your system off, then hey, guess what? Now I'd have double the rares, which of course caused a lot of problems. Where I was like, oh, I had a rare item in my inventory and my power went out. Well, I guess it's gone. Blueburst did server-side stuff though, which, you know, is kind of good and bad. I think there may have been some offline mode stuff in Blueburst, but I can't remember for sure. Man, how am I? Oh man, I want to just melee something. These are not fun guys to melee though. Oh, I keep trying to use that shortcut menu that is not there in this version. Do I have any better? Nope. Okay. Alright. Well, I have a lot of monomates, so just go for it. Bloodthirsty Fomarl. My brain keeps telling me to feed my mag that Diemate that I got earlier, but as a force, I don't want that. I say that, but like at this point in the game, any stat boost would be good. I'm not gonna take my mag to max level, definitely. You gotta be efficient. You gotta be good. Oh no, I don't want. I almost used some fluid. I didn't want to do that. Although my melee attacks are getting pretty strong now, so I might be able to start tearing through some of this earlier stuff. I feel like in PSO though, it's hit or miss if you're gonna dodge something. You can kind of back off and walk away, but it's iffy. I wonder if it would be better to. I think your walking animation's too slow. You wouldn't get out in time. Also, these guys love to attack and then whiff 90% of the time. Hey, frame. Let's see what we got. Okay, nothing better. Okay. Alright. and that goes back to the beginning, but there are things there. The color stuff in this game is weird for me, because I played the GameCube version, so like all the colors are mixed up. Because I think they align to the actual button colors. On Dreamcast they do, so I think that's still the case for them. What's it called? But I did play the Xbox version, so I guess it's not too unfamiliar. I never played the Xbox version online, but probably one of my favorite stories is, and maybe this isn't true, but I believe it is, and what I've read online, it seems very much the case. Like, there's a lot of complaints online when this happened. I forget what year it was. This was probably maybe like 2004, 2005 or something like that, but I could be wrong. At some point during Christmas, Sega turned on the holiday stuff in this game, and then nobody came back to turn the holiday stuff off. So I think it was called like Forever Christmas, because, you know, it was mid-year and the Christmas stuff in the Xbox version was still going, because just nobody bothered to end it. Or I don't know if they set like a date range and that date range is wrong. Okay, so I don't need to go back to that room, so I just need to go get those boxes and then go back the other way. Oh, and then it spawned Rappies. Hey, Rappies. But yeah, that was always like a really entertaining thing to hear about. And I think at the time, I may have not been playing on the official servers anymore. I may have been playing on the private servers, even though the official servers were still on. But you know. I'm not gonna get it. I don't really waste MP on hitting those guys. It's kind of a gamble what you're gonna get. Yeah, I was playing on, I think it was called a Shit Hack server, SCHT hack. Like, I assume it was maybe made to sound like shit, but who knows. Armor and the handgun plus 30, it looks like. So yeah, I played on Shit Hack servers for a while, and I played it while I was playing Final Fantasy 11, and that kind of, you know, being a kid, you know, both of the games were pretty pricey. I think GameCube Phantasy Star Online was like $9 or $10, and then Final Fantasy 11 was originally $9 and eventually went to $13, I think. And I'm trying to remember if I was forced to make that choice or if I personally made that choice. Yeah, maybe they just removed that lighting effect from this thing because it's just weird looking. It's not really consistent. When it's like standing up, it looks like weirdly normal. Like this looks like what it's doing right now. It looks like how it looks in GameCube, but like that weird bright spot that shows up on there right there. I don't think that's in the GameCube version. Anyway, so yeah, I played on free servers for a while, and they were pretty tame. They pretty much just kind of replicated the actual servers that were online for PSO, versus like the PC version. I think now they have a lot of like different quests and stuff that were specifically made for the private servers. But my memory may be vague. Maybe that stuff was around back then. One thing I do remember, in the private server, they didn't have like proper guild card associations. Like sometimes you would share a guild card number with other people, and I started getting messages from someone who was clearly not talking to me, and finding out like. Not only was it somebody that was clearly not talking to me, but I knew them. and he was sending messages to this guy, and I told him while he was talking to me, he was like, hey, you're sending messages to this guy, the other guy I happen to know too. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm also getting all these messages from you. And he like could not understand what I was talking about. And I'm like, basically every time you send a message to this guy, I'm getting this message. And he was very, very confused. Admittedly, at the time I was a kid, and as how bad I am at explaining things these days, I probably was like 30 times worse back then. So I may have just like made it a mess, made a mess of the situation, not being able to properly explain what was happening. Are you gonna stand up? I keep trying to open that quick menu. Okay. What's the... Okay. ATA, I gain ATA pretty slowly, so I don't expect to use the handguns anytime soon. ATP, it'll take a while. Do I have any dye fluids? No. I wonder if I should use a moon atomizer and see what happens. Thank you for the money. How are we doing on money? We could probably afford barter now. Is this... Okay, it's spawned up there. Sometimes a Hildebrand will spawn, or Hildebear will spawn down there. I should look at the name next time and make sure I'm pronouncing it right. I don't even know. One nice thing about canes, and I'm not a big fan of canes in I think any version of Phantasy Star, to be honest. I can't think of a Phantasy Star game where I liked canes at all. One nice thing is that they have high evasion, though, so like you can block attacks. Okay. Well, it's a random chance you'll block attacks. You don't actually get the choice. Okay. We'll just keep going for now and just clear this out before we go back to town. How are we doing on leveling? It's gonna be a while. Oof. At some point I need to get so right now on Dreamcast I'm using S-Video, so video quality is not super great. It's fine. Playable. Totally playable. Like I get so obsessive about video quality these days, but it's mostly for capturing purposes. Like if I were just playing this by myself, I think I wouldn't care as much. Although, like, I used to be like, whatever on 240p, and like, the more I look at 240p content, the more I'm like, oh man, that looks good. That looks really good when you, like, put it into a upscaler, like the FrameMeister or something. Well, yep, and I dropped my weapon. And I dropped all my money, so I have to come back and get my money. Let's see if I can... Oh, weird. It's like on the top of the screen now. That's interesting. Well, I can just equip the normal king for now. Did I drop my armor? No. And then we'll go kill him real quick, and then we'll teleport back and take care of business. I don't think I'll have enough money just selling the stuff I have to buy Barda, and I want Barda for the boss. Although I'm curious how fast the casting speed is. So if you don't know about Phantasy Star Online, or even if you played the game a lot, you may have not noticed, casting speed varies drastically per, and this is true for melee attacks too, maybe not as drastic though. It changes depending on not only which character you are, but also what weapon you have equipped. So if you're a Fomar specifically, your casting speed when you are weaponless is incredibly fast. Or if you're using like a fist-based weapon, like the Angry Fist, or like I think you can get like knuckle gloves or something like that, which is like big fat knuckles, the hedgehog gloves that you put on your hands with the little spiky things. So they cast incredibly fast. And I think it also depends on the level of the technique as well, possibly, but I'm not 100% sure. And so, like, sometimes equipping a weapon would actually be detrimental to equipping a weapon would be detrimental to your damage output. Obviously, you're getting more damage per TP cost. So, like, if you're still at the phase of the game where you're like worried about TP, then yeah, you might not want to be like weaponless. There we go. My inventory's full. Okay. We'll just drop this here and take this back to town with this. And then we'll waste the telepipe. At this point in the game, Forest, you don't really need telepipes, but for the sake of our situation. But yeah, so you know, like if you play, if you're fighting the dragon, and I typically did this with the ice dragon later in the game, but that's because it was already like way late game for me that I found this out. But if you cast Razande with no weapons on, you just would like spam Razande, which if you don't know, Razande is like a chain lightning attack that like hits all the targetable spots on the enemy. So in the case of a dragon, that's like 10 or so spots. You're not doing a lot of damage, but you're doing you're doing little bits of damage very fast, and you can just burn through it like a dragon in one phase. It's crazy how quick it is. Okay, what do we got here? So that's just worse with one slot. I don't need armor. Okay. I'm gonna guess I don't have any 2-slot stuff yet. We'll see if I can buy some, but... Oh, that's right. These have, like, elemental defenses on them, too. Which I think all of them have elemental defense on it, so that's fine. We'll keep this on for now. Okay. Handguns. I'm pretty sure I have handgun +1s. It's like a baseline saber. I'll never use daggers. You can only have one character slot in Dreamcast, so I literally can't use any of these items ever. The ones that are X'd. Unless I went online and traded them with someone. Here, take these dagger ones. These little daggers. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Okay, so this is minus 10% beast. I don't know if that outweighs it being +3. Probably at this point in the game it doesn't matter enough. What are we looking at for this saber? Normal saber. Normal saber. Okay, we'll just keep normal sabers. 3 normal sabers. Can't go. Slot 1. 0. 0. 2 slot. And cane 1. Is that? Yeah, it's the second saber. Nothing special about it. Okay. Oh, I have another not special cane in there. Oops. Okay, and then Barda. Alright. And then we're gonna need a full set of fluids, probably. Unfortunately. Just be a lot of money. Oh, weird. That was an item pickup noise. Interesting. I wonder if they technically have you just pick the item up. Oh, I have an extra handgun +1. Get out of there. Okay. And then what kind of stuff we got here? Frame, 1 slot, that's fine. Okay, I can get more barrier, and they don't sell any slots yet. And I can't equip wands yet. Oh, I can't equip anything yet. I'm gonna splurge the money and buy a barrier, even though I probably shouldn't. Although it's so little money at this point in the game, it doesn't matter. Okay. Alright, let's get destroyed by this dragon. Because I'm sure this isn't gonna go so great. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's buy monomates too. I'd rather conserve as much MP as possible. Or TP. I'm curious why they changed it from TP to PP in the later games. Maybe because technique points might have became a thing. I'm trying to remember if in Phantasy Star Universe there's like technique points or something. Alright. Nice and poor, and we'll keep 10 Mesta to go heal the rest of our TP up. Okay. Barda, and because we don't have quick menu, let's just equip this for now. And I'll use Dimates. Okay. Remember earlier I was trying to make a point. Oh, just visual quality stuff. Like I would like to get a way to it seems like doing a SCART connection for Dreamcast is like the best option. I don't understand. I think SCART can do 480p, but I'm not really sure. But I don't know. We'll see. It does 480i, I know that, but I was reading online that in some cases on some systems like the Dreamcast it will do 480p as well. But that just sounds weird to me. Okay, and we'll take our trap vision. Alrighty, let's go get destroyed. I'm not gonna hit telepipe because if I die I'll probably will just leave. There's a weird online quest for this game where you can play as Dragon, or for the GameCube version. And it was not great, but it was neat. It was a nice novelty. One of those goofy things that like, oh, okay, that didn't reach. Okay, that didn't reach. Okay, 12, 4, I'm gonna guess fire is probably not great. I can't tell how much damage that's doing. 2, okay. And then we're gonna do this as long as possible. Welcome to fighting Dragon. I'd like to stream playing some Phantasy Star Zero at some point, or even I would love to do a Phantasy Star Zero video at some point, but actually capturing DS stuff is a pain. Hey, DS capture cards, very expensive. You're looking at paying hundreds of dollars to get a 3DS mopped up for capture. It's crazy. Okay, well, I guess we're just gonna smack his face for a while. I feel like that's gonna be better damage output than spamming Barmada, yeah. Oops. So if I do ever do it, it'll probably be via emulator or, I probably shouldn't have done that because the fluid will fill up my MP all the way, that's okay. An emulator or an emulator. There's not really that many ways to capture DS gameplay outside of getting a capture card or running it on emulator. I am interested in the idea of pursuing like installing a DS emulator on the Wii U. I just don't know how consistent the quality is, which is important to me when it comes to an emulator. Like, if it's typical that you're gonna get like audio glitches and stuff, I'd rather play it on original hardware if possible. But you know, obviously DS, I don't have that luxury for if I want to capture it. Oh boy, this is a bad place to be. First blood. Okay. If you're wondering, I'm pretty sure not even at half his health because usually when he goes to half health, he'll scream and then fly into the air. So. Honestly, the money to fight this fight probably isn't worth it. But, okay. He can fall on you too, so you gotta be careful. What if it's better to just charge all 3 hits? Probably is. Yeah. Okay. Nope. Still not hurt. Okay, he's screaming. And now he's gonna try to fly. Alright. And then you just gotta play it safe for a while. If you haven't played PSO before, you open the area map so you can see where he digs. The endgame map is not big enough. He also leaves fire marks behind those, so you gotta be careful. Okay. Which the hard thing about the fire marks is that when the camera's like this, you can't really see super well. All right, and then back to good old this. I'm not really sure what the best class is for fighting the dragon early. Obviously, with the use of like a hunter, you have like the early just damage output. You don't have to worry about any of your techniques or anything like that. But being able to deal decent damage at a range is pretty nice. I feel like at this point though, Fomars or the forces are probably just the hardest because, like, if you want to do range damage to the dragon, the handgun and stuff is a pretty good option. You're doing a lot less damage than the techniques, but you're doing more consistent hits. I feel like. Admittedly, then you have to commit a lot more time to shooting the dragon, so because you want to do your triple shot like you with the melee attack. Okay. How many more fluids you got? Okay. Quite a bit left, so keep going around the circle. And I think this is maybe part of the reason why I don't like making a new character. It's just like these boss fights take forever, man. It's almost like better not to even bother with them early on if you can avoid them. Just grind out forest over and over and over again until it's like not worth it anymore, and then go to mines. Because the EXP trade-off is just so high in the time you spend trying to kill these guys. And I'd say the dragon's probably one of the easier ones to kill. You start going like Del Rey Soul or whatever his name is, and just a worm fight. There's a lot of times where you can't hit him. The mines guy can really mess you up pretty bad, and it's also a lot of times you can't hit him. And then Dark Falls, also can mess you up pretty bad too. Yay! We did it. Drops by his feet. And he dropped nothing. Yay. He always... I don't know, like, I feel like I didn't see a lot of people doing that, but his feet always seem to be the drop point, essentially. And so you'd kind of like shift yourself into where the feet are and try to get the drop. Because, drops were universal, so if one dropped, it dropped. That was the one drop for everyone, so. Which is kind of a nice thing about games in some ways, where it's like, oh, now you don't have to worry too much about that kind of stuff. But I also like that, I also like being able to like give and take things from people, and like, not give and take, but like, trade and stuff. I miss that about a lot of online games, I feel like, because right now at this point they kind of lock you into getting everything your own way. So you have to go do this dungeon to get this item, and you have to be the one to roll in that dungeon to grab the item and stuff. You can't really buy stuff very often. I heard a point the other day. I've been watching this YouTube channel called, I think it's a Realm Returned, or I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically like a Final Fantasy 14 like dissection of 1.0 versus 2.0, what changed between the games in terms of like the environment and stuff like that. And it's a they had mentioned that like in 1.0 it was going to be a very market heavy MMO, and I never really thought about that, because like when you go to 2.0, it is very like, hey man, you're gonna get this currency that we're going to hand to you and nobody else can have, and it's valueless to anyone else because you can't trade it to anyone. You're going to take this and buy it from our NPC, who will then give you this piece of equipment. It's not really like oh, craft a piece of armor and then sell or buy it. So. And I got a spooky handgun. Let's see what it is. It's a heat handgun. I forget how this works. I'm trying to remember if like you could give the weapon to other people and it's a chance that it'll be a different item. I think it's dependent on like your emblem. So like every PSO character, depending on your name, has this emblem on their chest. So you can see right here, I have like a light blue one that you don't get to choose, like right there on the I don't know what you'd call that. Above the boobs is what you call it. And each character gets like an emblem based on a different name, and that determines what kind of drops you get. So like there's emblems that are not favorable to get. I'm not sure if Skyle is one that's worth having or not. Most of these early identifiable things are just kind of garbage though. Okay. Well, we are level 5. And I'm actually going to spend the rest of my money on feeding some fluids to my mag. Let's go the distance to see what happens when this happens. Alright. I'd rather use moon atomizers. Right. Because I will never revive anyone in this game because it is just me. I think the Dreamcast version doesn't have any offline quests. I'll go poke around and see, but I think that's the case. Or sorry, version 1. I don't know about version 2, but let's check out this. Aha! Aha! There are quests. Download quest. No data. So I guess to beat this game, I'll need to play all the quests again too. That sounds like a terrible idea. But we're level 5, and that's what matters. And we have spells. And since I beat Forest, now I think I can come back and play caves whenever I want, which is important because in like local multiplayer, that was not the case in the GameCube version. So if you played with friends only, oh, I don't have caves yet. I know why. You gotta go talk to what's his face, the Mr. Mayor guy, Pioneer Man. The principal. There we go. Otherwise, I guess that's it. I really just wanted to force myself to play through this game because I literally turned this on last night. Went through the first room of Forest, made sure that technique button worked that I mentioned earlier, and was like, okay, that's fine. Then turned it off immediately, and played Sonic Adventure. The trial, Sonic Adventure 2, the trial, immediately, and then was ready to shelf it. And I was like, I should play this video game more since I've spent $20 on it, and you know that's more. Okay, now I have access to caves. Really, the biggest difference. I mean, there are big differences between different versions of Phantasy Star Online, but like the biggest noticeable difference outside like the missing races and stuff is the menu system looks different. So, yeah. Yeah. That's it. If you came, thanks for coming. And I hope you have a good night. Bye. Oh, let me fix the camera. Bye. I'm a quitter. No caves tonight.